was a much better day for both me and the king. I went to bed at a reasonable 1:30. I was up at 3 o'clock having him go the doo-doo. And then about 15 minutes later, I was up again having him go the pee-pee. Pour it out. He didn't want to do, like, I was exhausted. And, oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't keep him out to do both at the same time because I was going to piss myself. I had to go really bad. In fact, I had to take him in there and hold him with one hand. And okay, baby. You need to sit politely. Sit polite. No. Omar, no. I forgot I should put a solution collar on to feed him from now on. I forgot, though, because to keep him straight, that it keeps him from They're at church. I just woke up, which we're going to get to in a minute. So, they might come home any minute. They might not. If they do, I'll hear them, and I'll close the door, and I'll shut the camera off. So, no biggie. So, we woke up. And then, Omar. I did wear my earplugs, because I need that for my own sanity. I slept right near him. I can sleep on that side. Doesn't matter if I'm used to sleeping on this side. It doesn't affect me in negatively at all. No biting me. No bite mama. So what did I say? I went to bed at 1:30. It was out like a light. 3 o'clock. He woke me up. I think it was 3. I didn't put my glasses on. I'm so tired. 3 something. Maybe it was 3:30. We'll just say 3 for the hell of it. Doesn't matter. A little while later, I was barely back in bed, and he needed to go pee-pee, which I didn't let him do at the same time because I had to pee. We just went back to bed, took our chances. And then we were up again at 5:45. And my mom and her friend hadn't even yet gotten up. And he went pee-pee again outside. These shoes, Dr. Scholl's, are working out fantastic. I can just slip them on, and they're big enough that I can put them on with my Snuggadoodle socks that I sleep in. So it works out good. Omar, stop it. Stop it. Stop. Stop it. Anyhow, I have to be careful. Omar, you have to settle down. Stop. Stop it. You're not starving. You're hungry, but you're not starving. Starving is if you haven't eaten like a day or something, not just that you haven't eaten in 11 hours. Most dogs, they say to go feed AM, PM, and that's it. You eat 4 times. And then we woke up at 5:45, and we went back to bed. Oh, for a while I had him sleeping with me on top of me, which wasn't real comfortable. And on my arm, I had him, but it's all right. I really shouldn't do it, but I just wanted to sleep, and he didn't want to be in his pen. And anyhow. And we slept all the way to 11. And as you can see, he's fine. His eye's fine. Looking at his paw there where he rubs it. That's not good. That's not good. But it's not good when Grandma falls to the ground either. Nothing's good. I found out trazodone is supposed to be taken with food. I happen to look at the bottle. My mom never takes it with food. She eats at 10 o'clock at night. She's not eating at night. She's just taking her meds fast and going to bed. I'm sorry, she takes her meds at 9 o'clock at night. She's been taking them at 10 because the friend was here, and I've been a little lax. You know, I haven't said you gotta take your meds right at 9. But anyway, but she doesn't eat. I don't think any of our other meds say you have to take them with food. I'll have to look up and see why it says take it with food, because I don't know. The minute I hear them, I'll shut this off. It might go all the way. Sometimes they stay after. Remember, they don't have a ride, so they stay as long as people want to stay. And people like to socialize after church. They like to socialize. In fact, sometimes they used to be little things, like little, I don't know. They socialize with coffee. Sometimes they used to be little, friend doesn't drink coffee. She doesn't even like coffee stuff, come to find out. But she likes those orgain shakes. I told her that my mom's only allowed to have one, if that, a day. They're number one, they're meal replacements. Number two, they're expensive. And number three, I get them at Vitacost, and I don't get them all the time. I don't do a Vitacost order all the time. Okay. We have a $300 vet bill for the king. So, on top of other things, we have my scaling vet bill too. I mean, my scaling. Honey. Sit still. Yeah, I gotta remember from now on, the only way to keep him still is to put him in his harness. For some reason, he stays, I can keep him steady with that. And he sits still, and he's polite. He's not being right now, as you can see. I need him polite for my own sake, too, because he'll bite me by accident. He doesn't do it on purpose. He has this tendency to want to lean this way. He doesn't need to lean this way. It's not going to affect his life. His life's not going to be over if he leans that way, where I can see his face. He just has this tendency, and I can correct it if I put him in the collar and harness. I mean, the harness and leash. And I can just keep him like that, you know. And he understands that he's got to stick my hand. But I have to remember to do it, because I don't keep him in that ever, you know. And it poured out yesterday, so of course I had blow dried my hair so nicely the other day. And of course now it got all wet. Because I'm not going out with Omar and holding him up to make sure while he poo-poos, holding his hind quarters up and whatever, and making sure he doesn't fall, and holding an umbrella, okay? It's the way it goes. I mean, the day I blew my hair dry, I could have ended up being in the pouring rain. I knew that. I just like to blow dry my hair. I like how it looks, even if it doesn't stay looking that way. You know? He's okay. So we had a much better night than we did the night before. Much better night. Me and him both. Over here. No, come on. Oops, I should grab one napkin too. And my mom and I both, my mom and her friend, me too, but for that matter, loved my simple meal of Annie's organic macaroni and cheese, 2 packages. About 1.5 pounds of organic chicken thighs. I say 1.5 pounds because it was about 2 pounds, I guess. Maybe it was more than that because I ate some. I gave him a little bit. We'll say 1.5 pounds. Could have been more. A whole package of organic spinach. I had to ask the friend if she likes spinach. Not everyone likes spinach. Some spices. And organic Pacific broth. So I made it into a soup, and it's quite tasty. Something different. It's not anything I'd ever made before. I make concoctions. I'm not a cook. But my concoctions can be tasty, you know. They're not always tasty, but they usually are. I also make her chili, and that's something that she used to even bring to parties, cookouts and stuff. People loved it. I make it without the onion and the pepper simply because we always forget to get an onion and a pepper. I don't cut an onion and a pepper. Let Mom do it. Tell her to be careful. I always tell her to be careful about everything, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't understand, though, the things I warn her about, because she has her illness, has her thinking nothing can happen to her, even though things repeatedly have happened to her. That's the really delusional. It's one thing to think something can't happen that's never happened. She thinks it can't happen when it's repeatedly happened. Like she's repeatedly fallen over the years, periodically. I mean, and the same thing I was warning her about, don't have your thing hanging down, watch out, you're going to trip. I warn myself about. I trip over my own bed and my own spread and whatever. But I also have, as you guys know, this small bed, this big bed, but it's not up high like I wish it was. It's down on the floor. I think when I got it, I actually didn't want it on a frame. I wanted it on the floor because, you know, Omar's old. And remember, my baby, when he was blind, still maneuvered through this house, still jumped up on the couch, on the bed, everything. You wouldn't have even known he was blind. I was telling her friend, when I had money, she was more than willing. In fact, she was upset when I didn't do it, but he wasn't really a candidate. He wasn't a candidate. The vet told me, Omar, because of this and that, the pigment in his eyes, whatever, is not a candidate for cataract surgery. That would have been $6,000. My mom was going to pay it and wanted to. She didn't want him to be blind. She was going to pay it. And Omar wasn't a candidate. Remember, this was when he was still, you know, we didn't consider him an old man. He's an old man now at 16. At 10, he wasn't. And my mom felt really bad for him being blind. But you wouldn't even know he was blind. I used to tell you guys this. You wouldn't know. He could still run down the street with me and not be afraid. He had no fear being blind. He went by instinct, and he became blind slowly, first one eye, then the other. And he wasn't a candidate for cataract surgery. And we had a top-notch doctor who was going to do it. And, top-notch, you know, dog ophthalmologist, whatever you call it. He was going to do the cataract surgery. He said Omar would have had to have pre-drops and this and that, which would have made possibly him a candidate. He would have gone through all this crap just to see if the fact that he wasn't instantly a candidate, he doesn't need to have cataract surgery. We opted not for it, and it didn't. I don't think it really, you know, it didn't change his life. Like the vet would say, you know, he doesn't have to. You don't have to worry. He doesn't need to see. He's not trying to you know, see love interests or read books or drive cars or, you know, he was fine. We loved him the same. He did bump into walls, but sometimes he was all right. It's just my mom couldn't walk him anymore. That was nipped in the bud because you got to protect him when he's blind from, you know, wanting to go into bushes and poke his eye out, poke his eye with a branch or whatever. You know what I mean? So he was blind for a good 6 years, and he saved $6,000 to put towards other crap. For the most part, wasn't crap. Now that my mom's back to her old self, I don't know what those manic days were, but they scared the shit out of me. She was going to wind up back in the hospital. There's no saying what they were. There's no saying if they'll return. It's just how it is. That's why if you knew how many different meds, psych meds, whatever my mother's been on, you'd understand my perspective. It's all arbitrary. It's all just a hamster wheel, you know. And I won't do it. I will deal with my insanity, and you know, and that's it. Everyone has different types. Okay, I will deal with it. As I said, I know I have the tendency of certain things, just like my mom. But I'm able to, on my own, in my own brain, nip it in the bud. You know what I mean? And not have it land me in a mental hospital. I said in the other video, this friend of hers that she met when she was living in that apartment. New fucking bullshit professionals, you know, can enter your life and they don't know the whole situation. Everyone has a pre-life, some more complex. My mother and I is really complex because there was this sister that's no longer in the equation. But people can, if they enter your life, they're like, well, why are you living elsewhere? Like, what the fuck, you know? You sit there in judgment of something you have no idea. You don't know the circumstances, you know. You don't know the circumstances. They're very complicated, very complex. I hate people like that. You just can't judge anything. This woman and her mom were hiking on steep trails, something I would never do. I'm afraid of heights and told you why. Don't have to repeat it. Suffice to say I'm not alone. Suffice to say it's not about falling. Although that's scary too. Anyway. Her mom fell off and would have plunged to her death. This is what weirdness of life. This is weirdness of life where you have to live and sometimes things happen. But at least you're not intentionally jumping off of boats in the Bahamas and possibly getting eaten by a shark or for whatever reason ended up dead. Something got you. You're gone at 18 and you just graduated, okay? So, her mom fell. She grabbed her mom by the leg. Her mom, of course, doesn't want to drag the dad with her. She's like, let me go, let me go. The daughter has one arm. One arm! One arm! She's screaming for help. It could have been such a tragedy where both the mother and the daughter went plunging, because I don't blame, the daughter's not going to let her mom go. She's going to hold on for dear life, but she was losing her grip with one arm. They had her mom not by the arm, by the leg. Well, it wasn't their time to go. It wasn't the mom's time to go, because I can guarantee you that daughter was going to let herself go down with the mom, even though the mom was screaming at her, let me go so you don't die too. That's what the mom was saying. You let me go. You let me go. Daughter refused. They would both be dead. Dead, dead, dead. It didn't say how high it was. I bet I could go online and find out, though. They would have both been dead. I can guarantee you. A good Samaritan happened to hear the screams. And he came, and even then it was touch and go. He was trying to get the mom up, and he didn't realize at first the daughter, because it was adrenaline, it was like shock. This woman's hanging over, and the daughter has a bad leg. He's like, grab her other. She's like, I can't. I have one arm. He's like, oh my God. But he did it. They got the mom up to safety, and the daughter has a warning. Just simply said, or it was the one who was nearly dead. One of them, because it just said the name, and I didn't pay close attention. But just be careful when you're on these trails. They can be slippery. They can be whatever. Okay. Can you imagine? She grabs her mom who fell, grabs her was going down by one arm, and then what is she supposed to do? She can't pull her up. She's not strong enough. And the mom was screaming, let me go. That's how not all moms and parents are, but that's how that mom is. She did not. She'd rather die than pull her daughter down with her and come on one arm. She's not strong enough to pull her up by one arm. If there was it was just chance. There was someone around and someone who cared enough and heard. That's another thing. Someone who cared enough and heard. He was a good Samaritan. He cared enough and heard and came to help and saved the mom's life. Possibly the daughter's too, because my guess is she wasn't listening to her mom. She would have not let her go. She would have gone down with her. She's not going to let her mom go. She would have gone down with her. I can guarantee you. Just the fact she's sitting there and holding her by the leg with one arm. Now tell me, have you ever heard a story like that in your life? No. I'm in my 50s. I never heard a story like that. One arm. And somebody came along and their fortune cookie had said that day, he's like, I got a fortune cookie that said you're going to have a chance to shine. And sure as fuck he did. It's a chance that he was strong enough. It could have been a good Samaritan that for whatever reason. But normally people hiking, well, not necessarily. My mom's friend got seriously injured. Didn't go over any cliffs or anything, but was seriously injured and out of commission for quite some time. Weeks, months, whatever, I don't know. She got seriously injured hiking with her child. Just like this one was doing. They were younger. I think, yeah, they were younger. I think they were younger. Oh no. You never know these days. I see the mom, but how old do I think she was? I don't know. People color their hair. People look younger. What a story, huh? That's a story you can share with people. I tell weird stories out here sometimes that you can tell other people, my viewers. Because they're all true. I get them off of Inside Edition. The good, the bad, and the ugly off of Inside Edition. That happened to be a good story. It ended good anyway. Other stories, not so much. And tragically as well. Then there's that former sport player. I'm not in sports, so I forget. Someone probably heard that one where his son and his niece were in a riptide. They were going to both drown. He went in to save them, but his daughter, the niece, not his daughter, but his niece was in more danger than his son. He could only save one at a time. He got the niece out first and then went back to the son, not knowing if the son would be dead. But he could tell that the niece was in way more danger. She was maybe in a worse farther out, whatever. She would have died if he bypassed his son to save his his sibling's kid, even though he knew that his son could die. He got the niece first. He got both of them out to safety, but then he was under life support. He nearly died. He wound up being in the hospital for weeks, I guess, and he was on life support. And he actually said, when I was on life support, I could hear the nurses talking, and an expert said, yeah, that's why I always warn medical people. I warn my students. It was like, you don't say things like, well, he's a goner or she's a goner. You don't say things in front of these people. You don't know that even though they can't talk and they can't move, they can hear you sometimes. Well, that's a little interesting. Because he heard someone say, if he doesn't wake up soon, he's going to be over for him. So that was a tragedy that ended good, too. Potential tragedy. It would have ended partially good if he had saved the life of his son and his niece, which he did most definitely. But see how easily things can happen. You don't even have to do stupid shit like jumping off a boat out of dare in the middle of shark-infested waters. You can have things happen just in general. I try to be proactive and warn my mom as best I can. It's hard with her because she doesn't want to be told anything and she thinks she's invincible. She's mad at me when I'm telling her crap. All right, I don't want to hear. Yeah, I don't care, Mom. You think I care that you don't want to hear it in quotations? You don't think. You lack common sense. Everything I tell you, I would tell myself. Watch out for tripping on bedspreads that are hanging down. And all you gotta do is do normal and make your bed up to the wall in my case, or make your bed, even in my case, I make it up to the wall and it still can hang down. That's just the way it goes. I already got rid of her huge spread, her huge comforter that nearly suffocated my Aunt Omar a week ago. Because I had him washed. It's hard to keep up on the wash when it only takes one thing where I don't catch him in time and I don't leave him with anything. I don't even want him in there if he's peed on it, but it's hard to keep up on the wash. I'm trying to do our wash too, plus his stuff. So anyway, I was trying to do our laundry. We do a little at a time. Wash the undies separate, wash the clothes separate, wash our towels separate. I had to get the towels done. My friend's coming down, there were no clean towels, because I also use this towel on my leg. Okay, I use our towels. It's hard. I'm trying to do everything. I mopped the floor last night, though, and it looks fantastic. You guys watched part of that. You didn't watch the rest. I did more. I mopped it perfectly, so I'm the one taking care of everything. I'm the one running this household. Things I've warned my mother about, I've warned myself about as well. I'm always thinking about potential danger, okay? That time when I was out walking and I'm tall and a branch was hanging down, I was a little